Hello, Lewis.
Hi, Danny. You alright, mate?
Yeah.
I'm quite surprised to be talking to you. Actually, we appear to be podcasting, and it's not a week since we recorded the last. What's going on?
I know. Our world is been turned inside out, Lewis.
I know, it's horrifying, and I think in order to rectify this problem, I'm going to have to put on a red suit and a yellow waistcoat and paint my face like a clown and do some incredible dancing.
Yes.
I think that's the only solution to this problem.
You know, I always thought that this podcast was a tragedy, but now I realise it's a comedy.
Well, ain't that the truth?
Ha ha ha.
Yes, well, the reason I do believe that we're doing one so soon after we just released one is because the film Joker came out, and we thought, we both are very excited about that film. Let's do a surprise bumper special edition out of the middle of nowhere, talking about Joaquin Phoenix, his descent into madness.
Yep, and I know that both of you listening will be excited to hear this. All of you listening will be excited to hear our review of this wonderful, wonderful film. So, Lewis, why don't you start us off?
Okay.
Should we say who's in it? Sorry.
Yes, this is the 2019 film, Joker, starring Joaquin Phoenix.
Yep.
Zazie Beetz.
Yep.
I've completely forgotten his name.
Robert De Niro.
Robert De Niro, that's the one. Directed by Todd Phillips.
Yes. He directed the Hangover movies.
He did direct the Hangover movies. I've just googled Joker 2019 because I like to pretend to be prepared. And looking at this, Todd Phillips, he directed the Hangover movies. He directed War Dogs, which I saw, which I thought was brilliant. Did you see that?
I did see that. I thought that was great as well.
It's real good.
Yep.
So
it is, and he brings us this.
Yes,
which was a surprise.
Oh yeah, definitely different from the Hangover. Obviously, I've got to say, I completely loved it. I thought it was brilliant.
So did I.
Excellent.
Was just absolutely fantastic. Well, I'm literally back from the cinema, 20 minutes ago.
Ooh la la! I saw it yesterday. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, oh my god, where do we begin with it, Lewis?
I have no idea where to begin, but I'd like to begin by telling you that I've got a browser extension on my Google browser on my laptop, which means that all these Batman films, the word Batman has been replaced with the phrase "a man dressed like a bat." So there's the Batman Begins poster, and the caption is "a man dressed like a bat begins." That's nice.
There's he's about to dance.
There's Batman Beyond Return of the Joker. There's that poster, and it's a man dressed like a bat beyond Return of the Joker. So that's nice.
It's just making it more clearer, I suppose. You know, nothing wrong with that.
Right. So I suppose that I have no idea where to start with this. It's such.
There's so much.
There is so much. There's so much to unpack. It's like watching back, say, Ledger's performance as the Joker. And I remember you saying to me last year, that film came out 1,000,000 years ago, and still now we're learning new things about it.
Yes.
And it feels like this is that. I saw it, and I'm still watching it in my head. It's been on a loop since I stepped out of the cinema. It's absolutely stunning, from its visual style to its depiction of this man descending into madness, and this man sort of snapping, and his sense of humour twisting, and...
You know, I think we should start with Phoenix's performance. Just get that.
Yes.
Everyone's talking about that, so let's just get that one out of the way.
Let's do that.
It was shit. No, it was really good. No, on it. I mean, I didn't really expect it to be anything less than brilliant. I mean,
I completely agree.
I've seen a lot of his films. And he's brilliant in all of them.
Oh, definitely, yeah.
And he's very picky with his scripts. So
I didn't know that.
Yeah, so when I heard that he was doing this, I was sceptical about, giving the Joker a name and making it almost like a sort of character study. But
it's it felt like a biopic of the Joker, yeah.
Yeah, exactly. And it felt distinct enough, and yet you could still sort of peer into, they clearly were influenced by this and that.
Yeah, yeah. And like all that stuff in where it was like on stage on the talk show that was just lifted from The Dark Knight Returns.
Yes.
Like almost exactly, and that bit where he kisses that lady that's like the psychologist lady that sat on stage, and
yeah, it's like kisses Selena and
yes, yeah,
honestly. So right, so Joaquin Phoenix was great in it.
He really was. I absolutely, you know what I really loved? I love a bit of dancing in a film.
Yeah.
I think, like in Ex Machina, my favourite part was that bit where Oscar Isaac just was drunk out of his face and he did that amazing dance routine. And I think that the dancing that the Joker did the entire way through this film was incredible.
It was excellent.
Don't get me wrong, it's not going to win like any kind of talent contest, but it personified the character to such an incredible degree. From that point where, sort of towards the start of the film, where I suppose we should probably say this is very spoiler heavy. We're going to spoil this film a lot. If you haven't seen it, see it and then listen to this podcast.
Yes, don't, because that'll just ruin it for you.
Yeah, I'll put that in the show notes as well, but goodness me.
Yeah,
watch the film first.
Yeah, Jesus Christ, if we need to spell that one out for you, then, maybe it's our fault. We should have said that at the beginning.
Yeah, well, we're only about 5 minutes in, so all we've said is he was
great
and he danced
minutes,
a bit.
Lewis. You can do a lot in 5 minutes.
Yeah, boil an egg 5 times.
Yep, you can kill a talk show host in 5 minutes, Lewis.
Any talk show host in particular, or...?
Murray Franklin. Oh,
I thought you were going to go for Chris Evans or something.
Why?
Because he's the first talk show host
that
came to mind.
So, what did you think of the setting and the context of the time?
I thought it was fantastic. I think that if it's set in a more modern time, it doesn't quite scan.
Yes.
If it's set in a more technological time, for one, then there's nothing stopping the Joker from going online and going on Reddit and saying, oh, I feel really terrible, and like, oh my god, my mum's dead ill, and I don't know who my dad... Do you know what I mean? There's nothing stopping him from getting some kind of weird, twisted support over the internet.
Yes.
And if he lives in a more sort of tolerant society, then it would be more likely to say that his ability to get access to the support and care that he blatantly needed before he started killing people all over the place, he would be more likely to get those things. So I think that it being set in this sort of maybe the 80s, maybe slightly earlier than that, in this very grimy, gross to look at city of Gotham, and it's like that bit that when Bruce Wayne's parents got murdered in the alley. I remember looking at the alley and thinking, that looks really gross.
Yes.
Do you know what I mean? I think that it being set in this incredibly grimy, horrible place, in this grimy, horrible time that they've generated, it's fantastic.
I mean, they managed... I didn't think it was possible, but they managed to give a fresh take on the Waynes being murdered.
Exactly, yeah.
There have been so many iterations of Bruce Wayne's parents dying in an alley.
Oh my god, yes. Like from Jeffrey Dean Morgan to...
Yeah.
Whoever Christian Bale's parents were.
Just every single iteration has had that, and it worked so well. And I was worried at first because when his mother, played by Frances McDormand, was talking about Wayne and how she used to work for him, and then it comes out that he's the illegitimate son of Thomas Wayne. I was like, no, come on, please don't do this.
I know what you mean. It felt like a lazy way to do it. It felt like they were just going to say, by the way, I'm going to change my name to Joe Chill.
Yes, exactly. And then
instead, it became,
It was just so much. It wasn't a cheap sort of, because the relationship between the Batman and the Joker isn't about sort of, they're family and they have this family feud. It's more a disagreement, and I think it's more powerful that Arthur indirectly causes his Bruce's parents to die rather than, and in the Batman, the Tim Burton film, where it's literally Jack Nicholson's younger self pulls out a gun and just shoots them.
The thing that I really liked about this film is that it told the story in a way that I've never seen it done before with regards to to Bruce Wayne's parents. Like in the Dark Knight films, in any of the comic books, graphic novels, everything I've ever read, there's always been, Thomas Wayne, incredible man.
Yes.
Perfect human being. And even in, like, Batman Year One, or Gotham by Gaslight, he was like, he was a doctor in the Civil War, and he'd saved loads of lives on the front lines, and all this incredibly high standard that Bruce Wayne holds him to.
Yep.
But now suddenly you're seeing this story unfold from a perspective that's the exact opposite of Bruce Wayne, and you're coming to realise, well, yeah, if Thomas Wayne is the head of this incredible multinational company, and maybe he has got a few skeletons in the closet, and then you discover he has the ultimate skeleton in his closet, which is the Joker.
Exactly. He's partly responsible for the eventual scourge of the city, and it works. Exactly. Ideologically, it works really well because it's the Joker's. His parents, Bruce's parents, die at the hands of obviously a guy in a clown mask who just sees the Waynes and goes mental, but they die.
He goes mental.
He goes mental, folks. But they die at the hands of what the Joker believes in. This sort of chaos, this untamed violence. That sort of thinking, that sort of way of looking at the world is exactly what Batman opposes and is constantly arguing, saying, no, that's not the way people think, that this isn't humanity at large. And I disagree with you, and the fact that this horrible way of thinking has killed his parents shapes him to think, well, I'm not like that and human beings aren't like that. And it sets up, do you think there'll be a sequel?
Christ, I hope not.
Yeah, because a lot of people are asking for one. It would cheapen
the first one if there was a sequel. Yeah. This is one thing that I never quite... A lot of people say, I don't get the whole spoilers thing. You're going to see the film anyway. Yes. Well, no, but you're going to get the film spoiled for you.
Yeah.
The thing that I don't get about seeing a good film and then thinking, I want more of that. No, you don't. You want the same thing again. But you just... Well, a lot of the time anyway, you want the same thing again.
Yes.
It's different with, say, like a serialized thing, like a TV show or whatever. If you want the story to continue, then, yeah, demand a sequel, demand another series. But I think watching this, people might want the story to continue. I can't speak for everyone, but I know that I want to watch that again. And I want to take notes, and I want to make theories about it, and I want to think about it, because there was so much to unpack.
Yes.
If there were a second film where Joaquin Phoenix was the Joker and we see Bruce Wayne now as a teenager go to his house and go, I'm dead mad that you killed my parents and all this stuff.
Yes.
It would cheapen the first one.
Yes, and it wouldn't be as... maybe it's not about maybe sort of Bruce's parents dying. Everyone's like, and that's how he becomes Batman. Well, maybe it isn't, because what age is Joaquin Phoenix?
Joaquin Phoenix? I have no idea. Shall I Google him quickly?
Yeah, well, he's a lot older than Bruce, like a lot older. So what age is the Joker going to be when Bruce grows up? He's going to be what, in his 50s, 60s?
Yeah, I know what you mean, but then I think that's always been the thing for me, is the Joker and Batman have always been approximately the same age, which when you think about it, how this film has thought about it, it doesn't really make sense. The Joker has to be at least a couple of years older than Batman.
Yes.
But if the Joker's like 70 and Batman's like 30, it doesn't quite scan, does it?
No, I think keeping it a standalone character study is much more classy.
Yes, I completely agree.
Much more appropriate than just, he turns into Batman and the Joker's in his 70s and he's running about with a stroller going, you'll never touch me, Batman. It's like...
You know who he becomes? He becomes the fictional version of your granddad that you described in the last podcast. Yes. He starts dragging a big gallon of ale around town with him.
Whoa. What do you mean fictional? I think I made that. That's true.
I think
it's 100% accurate.
One thing I did like about this Joker was he seemed to have like an end goal in mind, in a strange
Yeah.
way. Like Ledger's Joker seemed to have, like you say, it was the whole dogs chasing cars thing.
Yeah.
He just wants to make chaos. He just wants to create a nightmarish situation all around him, which is definitely comic book accurate. But I think this Joker is more almost believable as a person. I could believe that this could happen to a person in a strange way.
I think, yeah.
And
I
like,
think so.
to that end, you can tell that the Joker's end goal is anarchy, in the literal sense, an arc, like without a leader. He wants everybody to be level playing field, eat the rich. Do you know what I mean? Start from the beginning again.
Yeah,
That's what
I mean,
he wants.
I don't even... he says in the show with Murray Franklin, I'm not political. And I think that everyone at the end sort of cheering him on and him standing there with the smile on his face with blood, going up each side of his cheek. He's not...
Oh, that was haunting and amazing.
It was very haunting.
Yeah.
But I don't think he's with those people. I think he's only enjoying it for the attention. And like, oh, people are noticing me, people are giving me the respect.
Yeah, they're convenient to him. Like others people got him out of the back of the cop car. Oh, that's convenient, thank you.
Yeah. He doesn't... I don't think he believes what these people believe. I think he is on his own and isn't subscribing to a cause. He's a symbol to these people, but as an individual, he's just happy that he got attention.
Yeah, I completely agree. I think, it's going to sound really weird, but there are two things that I think really set this Joker sort of on edge, really turned it up to 11, and that's both his voice and his actual body, his physicality.
Yes.
Like, his voice was just that little bit higher pitched than you'd expect it to be, looking at him. Yeah. It just sets you on edge. Do you know what I mean? You just think, oh, that's a bit weird. He's got a really high pitched voice. I don't understand it. It just makes you want to listen to more of what he says and understand him more. And do you know what I mean?
Well, I think that was deliberate to sort of give a sort of empathy streak in him, because the Jokers that we've seen have been either very deep voiced or very maniacal.
Yeah, like the Mark Hamill Joker. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. And to have this sort of soft, childish naivety to his voice, gets you on his side.
Oh, completely,
sense. Yeah. And I think that was very good.
I think the other thing I really liked, of course, was his physicality. Like
yes.
This might sound a bit weird, but he looked like deformed. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, he did.
Like that scene when he was like hunched over that big clown shoe and he was stretching out the leather on the shoe to make his foot fit in it better or whatever it was. Yeah. And like his shoulders and his spine, he looked like in pain and deformed and in a lot of tension, and it really added to the character, I think. It's like part of this whole Joker philosophy of nothing matters anymore. I'm not political, I'm not anything, nothing matters.
Yeah.
Part of that is saying, my body doesn't matter. This world I'm in doesn't matter. This extreme nihilism that the Joker has. And, like at the end when he's dancing on that car, he doesn't care that he's got broken ribs and he's bleeding from the face from that car crash he's just been in. He doesn't care, because his body doesn't matter to him.
Exactly.
And they really took that and ran with it, I think.
I think that the dancing solidifies that as well. It's his body moves anywhere without a care in the world, even if it looks silly, even if it looks weird and complicated to other people. It's like it's how he moves and it's how he behaves as well. It's complete unpredictability, and it's just so much just to enjoy and just to appreciate in that film. I can't actually believe that it was made, to be honest. I never in a million years thought that I would be on board with a Joker film without Batman in some form.
Yeah, I know what you mean.
Have you ever seen Taxi Driver?
Taxi Driver? No, I've never seen Taxi Driver.
Well, Taxi Driver, it borrows a lot of elements from Taxi Driver and another film called The King of Comedy, which both...
I don't think I've seen either of those. Good grief.
Yeah, well, they're both Scorsese films, and they both star Robert De Niro as the main character.
Oh, okay. Yeah,
Taxi Driver's about a veteran who's got mental issues and decides, basically, I'm going to clean the city from all this scum, and he becomes just this unhinged maniac by the end of the film due to like isolation and loneliness and just being beat down.
Sure.
And The King of Comedy is about an obsessed comedian who kidnaps a sort of a Murray Franklin-esque person and ends up on TV and performs an act, and he's not very funny, but he ends up becoming famous because of it.
Ah, okay. Yeah.
It definitely borrows from those types of films, which
definitely.
A few people that I've seen that are reviewing it didn't like that, but I thought it was more homage rather than copying.
Yeah, I don't like this idea of copying, obviously, because nobody does.
Yeah.
But on the same level, there's a huge amount of homage. Like in, say, I've said a million times on this podcast, all the Edgar Wright films, which are like my favourites, a lot of things are homages or little references to.
Yeah.
But that doesn't make the film that they're in stand any less good in its own regard.
Yes. No, I agree.
What did you think of all the supporting characters? Like Zazie Beetz and Robert De Niro?
I thought that they were fantastic.
Oh, yeah.
No performance in that film I could fault, really. I mean, everyone was excellent, but it's hard to attribute. Oh, they were fantastic, because what their characters really are isn't really the truth, because you get that twist with Zazie Beetz' character, Sophie. Sophie Drummond, I think her name is in the film, who's there for Arthur throughout all of his bad happenstances, and then it turns out that he's just imagined it all in his head, and I was like, oh my god, yeah, because I watched it and I was, were you following me today? And he was like, yeah. And then 2 seconds later, it's like, right, well, I've got a comedy club and see you there and all that. It's like, wait a minute, is she dim? Or something? Is she insane as well? Is everyone insane? But it's that borrows from Taxi Driver as well, because there's scenes in the film where it's in Robert De Niro's head, and you don't really know what's real, and that keeps you invested, like, completely, because it's like, well, is that real? Because that doesn't really make much sense. But I found it surprising how most of the authority figures in this film were like arseholes.
You found it surprising?
Yeah, like, obviously with the Waynes, like Alfred as well. Like, Alfred's meant to be this very nice, kind British guy.
Yes, precisely.
But he came across as such a snobbish, unempathetic dick in this film.
Yeah, that's exactly it.
I mean, you can understand. You can understand if a creepy guy with a red nose is up at your front door and he's put his fingers in a little boy's mouth. But it's like, Alfred would, in the comics, would be able to go, well, there's something not right about this chap. He's clearly a bit, there's something troubling him, rather than just, get out of here, you dirty scoundrel.
But not only that, but that's one other thing that I did consider as well is the Thomas Wayne being his father, is that all in his head? Because that's so out of character for Alfred and for Thomas Wayne. For Alfred to cover up for Thomas Wayne in this incredibly horrible thing that he's done. Like, Alfred's overriding character trait in the comics, in all the films, is that he's a really good guy.
Yes.
That's like his whole thing.
Yes.
Is that he's like, well, I will continue to support Master Wayne until the end if that's what it takes.
I mean,
and
I think that's a very good point, because, as you know, this film, there was some controversy with this film, and a few people were concerned about it being made because it makes the Joker too empathetic. And I think that the scenes, like you're saying with Thomas Wayne, we have to sort of ask, well, is his anger and frustration all to do with everyone else? Because, the Joker is a villain. He's not a hero. He's not, he might be a victim in some cases, but he's a murdering psychopath. And I would probably guess that some of the instances might be his sort of perception of what other people are like, and he might be putting his own frustration onto it, and might be, they might have been worse than they actually were, if you know what I mean.
Yeah, I know what you mean. And
I think that I would probably guess that that's the case with because some of it is nonsense. Look, when Thomas Wayne just punches him in the face, like, because he's laughing. So you think that's funny, and then immediately breaks his nose, and it's like, well, is he really that much? Is he really that much of a dick?
But then, as Thomas Wayne walks away, he says, "Sort of, ever put your hands on my son again, and I'll kill you." Which, I mean, again, it makes sense as a unique character trait, but it doesn't make sense as a Thomas Wayne character trait.
Yeah, I suppose. Yeah.
So, because if Thomas Wayne had turned around and said, "You ever put your hands on my son again, I will have you locked up, and I will throw away you."
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? It's not a Thomas Wayne, medical marvel, delivered his own son, was a doctor in the Civil War. It's not. It doesn't fit.
Yes.
Do you know what I mean? He's been a doctor all his life. I'll kill you. I'll fucking kill you. Do you know what I mean?
Yes, exactly.
So was that in the Joker's head?
Well, I think that we shouldn't attribute too much of the comics to this film, because
yes, that's very true. I think they said in interviews and stuff, the creative team has sort of said, yeah, we haven't really read any of the comics or anything. We've just sort of we just wanted to make essentially a character study and see what can we do to push a normal man over the edge into being the Joker.
Yeah. And I loved that little nod. It's like, you ever put your hands on my son again, I'll kill you. It's like, well, in the future he does more than just put his hands on. I thought that was a great little nod.
Yeah.
But what what was I going to say? What do you think of the choice to make his laughing a condition?
Again, I'm not sure how much of that was in his head as well. In that, I can understand that at the start it was displayed as a condition. Like when he starts laughing on the bus,
yes,
that clearly doesn't quite count and things like that. But then as you progress further through the film, the things that he's laughing at are twisted jokes.
Yes.
Like when he's laughing in the bathroom at Thomas Wayne, it's because he thinks that something's funny. You can tell from his face it's because he thinks that something's funny.
Oh, so you think that he was just you think that wasn't because of his illness? You think that he was just laughing?
I think that as it went through the film, he sort of, as he lost control of himself, he gained control of his laughter to some extent.
Right. Yeah. As
he descended into this all-encompassing madness, he lost this one trait of madness, or whatever you want to call it. Like that bit in The Office, when he's in the locker room, and then the guy comes out and says, sorry, the boss wants to see you, or whatever.
Yeah.
And then he's putting a shirt on, and he's walking through the corridor laughing, but there's no emotion in his face. He's not smiling, he doesn't think it's funny, he's just laughing. It's just in the same way you might be shouting at the top of your lungs about the Celtic scores, or whatever. Do you know what I mean?
Exactly.
There's no emotion on his face at all. I think that as he got more and more mad, I think that one specific madness trait left him a bit.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree. Because he's not... His nervousness disappears because he becomes more confident. And when he's on the show, he's not laughing uncontrollably. He's very angry. And the only bits that he laughs at are the bits about the dead people that the people that he's killed, and it's not uncontrolled. It's like, no, he genuinely finds it funny at this point. It's not a poor little Arthur anymore. He's like, he finds killing those people hilarious.
Yeah. Now here's a question for you, which has become a bit of a catchphrase on this podcast. Here's a question for you. But do you think he was planning on killing Murray Franklin?
No.
I don't think so either. Because when he was in his apartment doing that sort of rehearsal, if you want to call it that, he said, knock knock, who's there? And then sort of fake killed himself. It seemed that Murray Franklin, if he'd just not rubbed the Joker up the wrong way, then the Joker would have killed himself there in the chair, instead of just turning the gun on Franklin.
Well, I suppose that's the sort of... I think for this film, that's when the Joker looks into the puddle and sees himself and begins laughing uncontrollably. Because up until this point in the film, Arthur has been like, everything is bad, everything's right. I don't want to feel horrible anymore. I just want to kill myself, and I'll do it on live television, where I'll be a star, or I'll get attention forever for doing that. And I think, due to his anger and his frustration, I think he just realises, well, why should I have to die? Why isn't it funny that all this chaos is happening? It's that all the people...
Can't you all take a joke? I can take the joke. Why can't the rest of you?
Exactly. Yeah. And I think that's the turning point for him, and that's when he is just the Joker.
I completely agree.
Oh my god, I was walking out the cinema, and I just started... I felt as if I was walking like him. I was like, oh my god. It's just...
And I felt like I couldn't speak when I came out.
Stunned.
Yeah, and then on the way home, and
I was absolutely stunned watching it. It's just such... It was so surprising as well. And
I know what you mean.
It was funny. Parts were really funny. Like when he killed, what's his name, Randall, in the apartment, and
can you reach the lock for me?
And it's like
Arthur, bits like that.
Oh, you've been my friend. I'm not gonna hurt you. And then he scares him and goes rah like that, and he absolutely. I was killing myself laughing at that bit. It was like, it's so twisted, and I think that's why the character study works, because it's an everyday person who is pushed and pushed and pushed, and becomes this monster. And it's like we can all laugh at what we can understand why he finds it so funny, and even Batman could in The Killing Joke. Batman laughed with him, and I think on some level I can completely understand why someone would end up there, like 100%.
Yeah, that's the surprising part about this film for me, was watching all these events unfold and watching these terrible things happen to Joaquin Phoenix. At no point was I surprised by his next move, even though his next moves were, well, I guess I better kill these people on the train. Well, guess I better kill Robert De Niro. Do you know, at no point was I thinking, wow, that's a surprising turn of events.
Yes, exactly.
It all made sense. It all checked out.
And what I really liked, that I'm glad that they didn't fall into the trap of doing, they didn't make him a hero. He was. The film didn't make a statement saying that these people deserve it, and he's just fighting back against, it's a tragedy. At the end, it's not a sort of payback. Sort of, we can all have a great time watching a man who's been beat down fight back against his oppressors. It's like, no, this is a terrible, terrible story, where you can understand why it's happened, but he's not a hero by any manner of means.
It's like what I always think about Watchmen, is Rorschach is not a hero, and he's not a villain either.
Yes.
But neither is he an anti-hero or anything. He's just the protagonist.
Yes.
That's all he is.
Exactly. He's the person we follow.
In this, the Joker was the protagonist, and we watched him go through all these horrible events. And there were many antagonists, and there were people that drove him forwards. So they were, in a way, protagonists, but nobody was a good person, but nobody was a bad person.
Yes, everyone was grey. Everyone was people. Because people aren't...
Yes,
people at large are not good, and they're not bad. They're just people striving in between those two extremes.
Yeah.
Oh, God. I can't even...
I know exactly what you mean. It's a film and a half. It really is.
It's just, and I didn't expect any less, to be honest.
Now, here is a very difficult question.
Right.
I hope you're ready for this. What did you think of this Joker compared to Heath Ledger's Joker?
Oh God! Oh my God!
Because I know you're a huge fan of Heath Ledger's Joker.
I am. It's, well, I mean, they're just two completely separate things, because Heath Ledger, there is no backstory to him.
Yeah,
so
yeah.
There's no way that you can empathise with him, really. You only get what he believes and and the things that he does, which is it's such a hard question. Now that I'm thinking about it,
You're right. It is a hard question. Yeah.
Do you mean performance-wise, or do you just mean?
I meant as characters.
Yeah.
But performance-wise, sure as well.
Well, to what I think the Joker is, I think that Heath Ledger is closer to it. Like, certainly. You know, because I think that Arthur, as deranged and as broken as he is, I don't think he's beyond reason.
But then I wouldn't say the Joker is either. Look at, say, Killing Joke. I think that Batman and the Joker have always had this respect where they can reason with each other if they need to. Like, there's this crossover event where the Joker is at one point teamed up with Red Skull from Marvel Comics.
Yes.
And upon finding out that he's a Nazi, he says, "Oh, I might be a criminal lunatic,
yes.
but I'm an American criminal lunatic."
Yes, exactly. I mean, but
he can reason, like, with himself and with others.
Yeah,
He just doesn't want to.
Yeah. I think it's interesting how that his mental illness is played out, and there's a great I've mentioned it before, the imaginary axis. He makes the case that the Joker isn't insane at all, and he's just super sane.
His priorities are just wildly different.
He makes the case that he knows that he's a comic book character, and he finds it hilarious that why do you care for these people? They're just being written into existence, and then I kill them. It's hilarious that you all find it so heartbreaking, and it's just not real. That's the case that he makes, and I think that there's some truth to that. But I think Arthur is mentally deranged, and given the right attention, I think he could be swayed back, if you know what I mean.
I do know what you mean. I know what you mean.
People were nicer to him. People were kinder to him. I think I didn't get the feeling that he was just, there is no saving this person ever.
Yeah.
I think that over time you could probably sort of turn him around. But Heath Ledger's Joker is completely
a force of nature.
He's chaos embodied. There is no reasoning or arguing with him. It's like, no, this is this is the truth, and that's what it is. So get used to it.
Yeah. I think performance-wise, I preferred this Joker to Heath Ledger's Joker.
Right.
Which I know is a big statement, but like, I think I was, like you say, they're two completely night and day things.
Yep.
It's like, Heath Ledger's Joker was a force of nature, and this Joker is a man who's become completely unhinged.
Yep.
But because I can see all the layers of this character, I think I'm more impressed by Joaquin Phoenix's acting in this than I was by Heath Ledger's acting in that.
Yeah. I mean, well, The Dark Knight wasn't about the Joker. It was about...
I mean, yeah, that's right.
I mean, it wasn't about, it was about Batman overcoming an obstacle, overcoming an ideological opposition to him. Whereas Joaquin Phoenix had a lot more time to sort of flesh himself out and just really completely coalesce with this character. Not to say that Heath Ledger didn't, but he didn't have as much screen time and as much, chances to sort of... So this is what I've made. But but nevertheless, it's still incredibly popular, and everyone knows the voice, and everyone knows exactly who it is as soon as you hear it.
Yeah.
Which might.
I think Go on.
Which slightly slays me. It slightly sways me towards Heath's version.
Yeah, I know what you mean. Here's a question. Do you think, given another film, that this Joaquin Phoenix Joker would progress into a more Heath Ledger type Joker? Because Heath Ledger's Joker has been jokering for decades, or that's the implication anyway.
Yes.
That he's been doing it for a long time, and now it's just at a point of, well, who gives a shit anymore? I'm going to kill 2 boatloads full of people if I have to. I'm going to try and have a fist fight with Batman. I'm going to sick these dogs on Batman and whatever. Who gives a shit anymore? I'm just going to do what I want.
Yeah.
And I think it's only at the end of this film that Phoenix's Joker got to that point of, I just don't care anymore.
Yes.
I'm going to dance on this police car while I'm bleeding heavily from my head. It's only at that point that he got to that conclusion. So do you think, given more space, this Joker would eventually progress to something a bit more like that?
I don't know. I mean, as a character, what's the next logical step that Arthur would take, or Joker would take?
I suppose he'd probably just follow the mob, and they would follow him, because that's all he's there for, really, is the adoration of the mob.
Yeah,
and if the mob turned around and said, "No, okay, now you've got to go and shoot up City Hall," he'd say, "Right, lead the way."
Yes, but Heath's Joker, he has an ingrained sort of way of thinking. Like, he views the world and has come to the conclusion that you're all hypocrites and you're all, when push comes to shove, you're all as bad as I am, and I'll prove it, and I'll just prove it. But Arthur is a victim of a cold and unfeeling society, and it just drives him off the deep end.
Sure.
I would say I could see Heath Ledger's Joker make Arthur what he is. That could have been a story where, I've corrupted Harvey Dent, who's my next target, this mentally ill guy, I'm going to push him right over the edge. Like, he sounds like one of the Joker's victims. He sounds like another point to prove to Batman. It's like, well, look, I've made another person as crazy as I am, or as deranged as I am. And I think the reason I say that is because the Joker isn't meant to be a person. It's not meant to be a sort of person that you can reason with and speak to and sort of, oh, that's such a shame that he went through all that. He's meant to be, as you say, a force of nature, and there is no...
Yeah, and I do agree with you with that, yeah.
But they advertise that, to be fair. They do say it's like, well, it's not tied into the universe. It's a character study about a man who's beat down and becomes unhinged. So I think
I do think that
it's difficult to compare them, and I think you're doing yourself a hardship if you try
and pick a favourite.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
because they're both they're completely different in context.
And I do think that I mean, let's be honest though. We can be honest with each other, and if we can't be honest with each other, we can be honest with the entire listening public. And I think I speak for the both of us in saying that we both prefer Jared Leto's Joker.
Oh yes.
Jared Leto's Joker was just infinitely superior to either of these.
I mean, Lewis, how are you going to know that this guy's insane unless he's got a damaged tattoo on his forehead?
Well, that's very true. He had no facial tattoos, and I was very disappointed.
Why wouldn't Arthur Fleck have lots of scars and tattoos over his face and go?
And the closest he came was putting white paint on his own tongue. I mean, everybody does that. Come on now.
Fucking noob. Oh, see, I mean, Jared Leto's Joker, just you liked it at first. I remember you. I think we talked about this, and you liked the sort of unhinged bit where he goes hunka hunka, because that's unpredictable, and that's something that I could imagine the Joker saying, but they just were completely off the mark with what they were trying to do. I didn't know what were they aiming for.
Definitely, yeah.
Like, because he was a sort of gangster, sort of cartelish crime boss.
And what that was really was like Penguin is the cartel crime boss. Joker is this crazy bloke who lives next door.
Yes.
And I think I did enjoy that, like the bits you say about Jared Leto's Joker doing that whole hunka thing. That was because that was unpredictable and weird and didn't make any sense.
Yes.
And that's what the Joker is unpredictable and weird and doesn't make any sense. But the actual character itself I didn't get that. And that bit where he lay down in that circle of knives. So, oh, well, he's got this very specific thing where he likes to lay knives out on the floor.
Yes.
Yeah, great, but that didn't come across. Jared Leto's Joker just wasn't... It wasn't Joker. It was a crime boss of some kind.
I mean, yeah. I think they had the same problem with Jack Nicholson's Joker as well. Have you ever seen Batman?
I haven't seen Batman. No, I've seen bits and pieces, but not the whole thing all at once.
Yeah, well, you could make the argument that Jack Nicholson's Joker was the sort of starting point on film anyway for this sort of more modern dark version of the character.
Sure.
But he was a crime boss as well. He was a gangster beforehand, and then he fell into a vat of chemicals, and then he just became slightly more sick, and he was still a gangster. And a great performance, but in the end it was Jack Nicholson doing Jack Nicholson, and people are like, no, that was the best performance ever. It's like, no, Jack Nicholson is Jack Nicholson in everything that he does, you know.
And I know this is we've talked about The Shining before, but Jack Nicholson was Jack Nicholson in The Shining.
Yes.
Jack Nicholson, the whole point of, say, The Shining, the book, or any of Stephen King's books, or even looking at The Shining as an outside perspective, the whole point is that Jack Torrance goes slowly mad.
Yes.
But Jack Nicholson was mad right from the start.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
You see, Wendy, he saw it on the TV.
Yeah, I mean,
all those lines, he's crazy.
So unsettling. Like, just before he even got there. But one thing that was really good in Batman that I wish they would have just expanded more on it. Like, there's a scene where he's in a art museum, and he goes in with this radio, and he's just like, "Gentlemen, let's broaden our minds," and he just puts on this song and goes around just destroying the art, and just starts writing stuff like "Joker was here," and starts slashing paintings to this really cheery and upbeat song, and he's like, "I am the world's first fully functioning homicidal artist." That would have been brilliant if they went down that way with it, but instead he just sort of oh yeah, well, I'm threatening the mob, and at the end he was like, well, it's time to retire. He intended to take money and retire, as many criminals decide to do. It's like, no, that's not what the Joker's about.
No, I agree. The Joker is doing it till the day he dies.
Yes, he's about pushing people to their limits and
completely
and watching them break. That is what the Joker is. He's the pessimistic foil to Batman. That's the reason that he's there. He's not a flashy crime boss with, weird silver teeth and damaged on his forehead. It's like, no.
No, it goes back to the I forget which comic book it is. I presume it's Killing Joke, because so much of Joker is, but that justice. No. It's just us.
Yeah.
It goes back to that of it's always Joker and the Batman are the same person.
Yes.
And they always have been, and they have this respect for each other. And this film, I think, made a sort of it started to throw the dart at that.
Yes.
In the Joker was pushed and pushed and pushed and pushed over the edge in the end.
Yeah.
And then we see Bruce Wayne just getting pushed a little bit. Of just like Joker comes up and sticks his fingers in his mouth at the gate of Wayne Manor.
Yes.
And then his parents died, and those are the pushes.
That's it.
And we don't see him fall over the cliff, but we see him stood on the brink, as it were.
That is why they work so well together, because both of them endure tragedies, and they both just split and just go down completely separate paths. And we don't know officially what the Joker's tragedy is. And I hope that we never do. I hope that DC never say, no, this is the definitive reason as to why he became the Joker. And it's because it doesn't matter. It doesn't.
Yes, you're completely right. It doesn't matter
how it. You can tell your own story. There can be lots of different versions because the Joker says that. He says, "If I'm going to have a past, it might as well be multiple choice." The specifics to the Joker don't matter. It's the fact that the tragedy happened, and because the tragedy happened, that means that nothing can be good. If injustice is allowed to happen, then there is no justice in his mind.
Yeah, it's like what Jesse Eisenberg said in Batman v Superman. If God is all powerful, he cannot be all good. If God is all good, he cannot be all powerful. That's essentially the Joker's philosophy, but with everybody.
Yes, exactly.
If you can control the things in your life, why are you letting bad things happen?
Yeah.
And if you are not controlling all the things in your life, why are you not good?
Yes. And he's some very valid points about society as a character.
I mean, yeah, that whole, like, good concept, poor execution.
Yeah.
He does have some good points, but killing people is not the way to solve them.
Exactly. I mean, that scene in The Dark Knight where he's in the hospital room with Harvey Dent.
Yeah.
And he's talking about what is it he says? Nobody panics when things go according to plan. Like if I say that a gangbanger's going to get shot, or some soldiers get blown up, then nobody cares and nobody panics, and that's just business as usual. But if you attack the establishment, if you upset the established order, or try and kill a mayor or something like that that's unexpected, then everyone just goes crazy. And that's true. It's completely true, like 100%. And I think, and I would argue that Batman probably agrees, but it's just like you're saying, it's the execution. So, well, what do you do about that? Do you just say, well, if that's the way it is, then who cares? Let's just kill everyone. Or do you say, no, we need to make the world a better place, and we need to improve the lives for everyone? And that's the sort of divergent between the two of them.
It is. Oh, it's like,
Jesus.
Right, we're going to go, I know that we did it in the first podcast, and we've done it in a couple of them since, but we're going to have Lewis Brindley talks about cameras for 10 minutes corner.
Go on.
It was so gorgeous. I know I say this about a lot of the things we talk about, but the entire film was so gorgeous. From the colour of the suit he was wearing, to the makeup perfectly contrasting, and like the colour of his hair was that dirty green colour that Heath Ledger's was.
Yep.
And how the entire... Like the colour of Gotham City, where there would have been whites and creams and stuff like that in paints and tiles and things, it was like yellows and sickly greens and do you know what I mean? It was disgusting. The whole film was disgusting in a horrible way. And to the point where I'm looking at puddles slowly splashing off from under his feet in slow motion while he's jumping down the stairs and doing his revolting dancing. And I'm thinking, God, what diseases have those puddles got in them? Do you know what I mean? The entire film was...
Exactly.
It looked so incredible. And the wood panelling in the lift. And I could...
The city was like an open wound.
It was exactly that, yeah.
It's the exact place where a character like that emerges.
Yeah, definitely. You're completely right.
See the social commentary in that film. It was like unbelievable. Like even with the camera, it's like this society is bad just looking at it, and it's not just the terrible events that Arthur gets himself into, but it's the city itself. There must be some, just looking at it, just seeing it every single day must have something, like it must just really just depress you.
Oh Christ, yeah, I know what you mean.
Every single day, just dreariness and disgusting mess on the ground, and the trains are all battered and rustic.
And that public toilet that he went into when he just killed the guys, and you're thinking, oh my God, don't go in there, don't lock yourself in. Good God.
Exactly.
And the apartment building with the mould on the walls, and
oh my God,
it was all so horrible, and it was all so brilliant because of that.
Yeah. And what I found very humorous was when he's sort of in the cop car and they're driving, and he's laughing the carnage around him, and the police officer's like, "Don't laugh, you freak! Look what you've done." And he says, "I know it's beautiful." It's like, well, what? It didn't look like $1 million before it happened.
No, that's very true.
And that's another amazing thing. That's like, oh, look at how terrible this city looks. It's like you didn't see it beforehand, but now that everyone is up in arms and discontent, now you just see it because it affects you.
Which I suppose goes back to that thing you were saying just now about Ledger's Joker, saying about how Ledger's Joker was saying nothing really matters until you upset the balanced order. So nothing really matters about this incredibly filthy, disgusting city up until the Joker upsets the balanced order of things.
Yes, exactly. It's like everything's fine until it affects me.
Yeah, exactly. You're completely right. I tell you what, though, as well, there was a lot of running in this film.
There was. Poor Joaquin must have been fucking knackered.
It made me think of how much Tom Cruise runs in films. Like in all those Mission Impossible films where he sprints and sprints and sprints. And like that right at the start when he's sprinting down the street in big, massive clown shoes.
Yeah.
It's kind of amazing in a weird way.
The acting when it came to the running was just fantastic as well. I mean, I could imagine the Joker running like that from Batman.
Yeah, and he's all elbows and knees. Yeah.
Yes, exactly. Oh my god, perfect. Utterly perfect.
What did you think of...
What did you...
Sorry, go on.
Oh, sorry. Oh, we're too excited. You go.
What did you think of the Joker being a clown before everything? That was like his job.
Well, I think it made a lot of sense.
Yeah, I agree.
A lot more than like some of the iterations that we've had. So, well, why is he a clown? So that just comes out of nowhere.
Yeah,
and
yeah.
I think it's the personal trauma that all leads to for him to become this. So the fact that he is a clown beforehand and wants to be a comedian just makes total sense.
Yeah, that now he's suddenly, instead of viewing the world as though it's some sick poem, it's some sick refrain, it's some sick play that somebody's watching. No, it's a joke. That I think that if he'd have been an actor trying to be a playwright or something, it's all just some play, and there's got to be a god up there watching. You could imagine him saying that line instead. But because he's viewing it as from this comedian stand-up type point, he's thinking, no, it's a joke. The world I live in is a joke.
Yep. It's everything. Everything is trivial. Nothing is beyond humour.
Completely, yeah.
There is not... The tragedy and all the horror, it's just hilarious. It's hilarious.
Yeah. I mean, you're right.
There's a great quote in The Killing Joke where he's talking about he's like, do you know how many times we've started World War III over a flock of geese on a computer screen? Yeah. It's like, do you know what triggered the last World War? An argument over how many telegraph poles Germany owed its War Department creditors. And I don't think that's the only reason the Second World War started. It's like, telegraph poles. That was the one that pushed it over. But it's just his skewed sort of view
of how much of a joke all these things are. Yeah.
And it just makes me wonder, how can you write dialogue like that? How do you have to think to be able to say something like that? Who in their right mind would ever say, what was the cause of the Second World War? Oh, Germany not paying its War Department credits for telegraph poles? Yeah. Who would ever say such a ridiculous and ludicrous thing?
I suppose that's the Joker's point, though. He'll keep digging until he finds the funniest scrap of information. Not the most truthful or not the most thing that he wants it to be, but he wants to live in this echo chamber of humour.
Yep. Oh, it's perfect.
It really is, yeah.
What did you think of the controversy?
Well, how do you mean?
Well, there was the media certainly were playing it up that it's a sensitive topic because you know, when The Dark Knight Rises came out, there was a dreadful shooting in Aurora.
Oh yes, of course.
Colorado. With a guy said, "Oh, I'm the Joker," and shot up a movie theater.
And there was those very harrowing pictures of Christian Bale and and his co-stars just sort of stood there at this memorial, like, oh my god, yeah.
Yeah, and the media were sort of resurfacing that and saying it's irresponsible to make a film like this, and it shouldn't be played. And there was fears of shootings, which is it's understandable.
Yeah, completely understandable. Yeah.
But I'm not convinced that the media were doing that because they genuinely thought that was what was going to happen. And because the media are so frivolous, it was almost as if they were playing it up so that it would happen, and then they would say, "Oh, we told you so." And I that might not be a popular belief, but I think that it was blown way out of proportion, and people will say, "Oh, it's such a violent and gory film." It's like, no, Deadpool is more violent than this film.
To be completely honest with you, Danny, this is the first I've heard of this controversy.
Really?
Yeah, I've managed to avoid it somehow.
Wow, I mean, it was absolutely everywhere. I saw it absolutely everywhere. Well, I suppose you can't really comment on it then.
No, I can't. But I understand both the media's point and your point. I think that to make a film like this, where a guy lives in his terrible world, and then he decides, no, okay, the solution is to kill people, that's not exactly a neutral film, is it? It's not exactly a film that'll, like, just chill everybody out. Do you know what I mean?
No, definitely not. But it's not saying this is a justified and reasonable way to respond to tragedy. It's a warning that people can become like this due to, circumstances of depravity and horror. It's not look at this person and we can all cheer as he destroys, the city and kills people. It's like, no, this could happen and we have to stop this. We have to be careful.
Yeah, and I suppose in a lot of ways the film does make a point. In the film's defence, the film does make a point. If Arthur Fleck had been given support, if Arthur Fleck had been helped, this wouldn't be the case.
No, it's society. He's a product of society.
Yeah, completely.
In more ways than one. It's like everyone. I think nowadays there's a sort of cynicism that runs throughout our society nowadays, and we're very quick to put our own judgments on people. Like that, the woman on the train. Can you please stop bothering my kid? It's that happens all the time, and misunderstandings happen all the time, and if a society becomes that aggressive and so emotionless, then that is very clear that can happen. So it's a warning to say, let's not get to this point. Let's try and be civil. Let's try and help each other.
Yeah,
so that this never happens.
Yeah, I understand what you mean completely.
Yeah. And I think it's very insulting that the argument that's been going on for years now with video games and films, I don't believe, not for 1 second, that films make people do terrible things. Films can give killers ideas, but I don't think it's possible, really, for you to watch a film and then suddenly go, oh, I'm going to do this.
I understand what you mean.
There has to be something wrong with you. You can't just be a normal, everyday person and then watch a film and then go, oh my god, yeah, I'm doing that.
Yeah, I know what you mean completely. I'm sorry, I'm getting very distracted here. I'm going through, I googled Joker 2019 and now I'm going through the Google Images search. I'm very sorry, but like,
all right.
There's a lot of crazy things going on.
What's going on? What am I missing?
Well, the top few are Joaquin Phoenix in like makeup and in costume doing bits and bobs, and like then there's bits that I forgot from the film, not because they weren't very good, but because they just slipped from my mind. Like there's this bit here when he was in the apartment and he killed the big guy that gave him the gun, and he let the other guy out, and when he was just shirtless and he'd just dyed his hair green and he'd had his face painted white, and that I think almost made the point that he looks unsettling. The clown makeup makes him look unsettling. It's less about him being a clown and him finding it funny. It's about him being unsettling.
Yeah.
But then, oddly enough, I suppose nowadays you're more likely to run into someone on the street who says, yeah, well, clowns are a bit unsettling, really, than you are to find someone who says, well, yeah, clowns are actually quite funny. I like clowns. I think they're great.
Yeah. Yeah.
Chlorophobia is so much more common now.
Yeah. I mean, this year has just been the year of killer clowns.
Pennywise, Joker.
Sure there'll be another one out at some point.
There might be another one. We don't know yet.
Wait, so this was a standalone film.
Yeah,
hopefully.
yeah.
Well, that's what Todd Phillips said.
Yeah.
So I don't think we'll be seeing this Joker again anytime soon.
No, I doubt it.
So the question is, where does the Joker fall in the DCEU?
I think he's completely separate.
Yeah, he's. I know that I agree that he's separate, but do you think that they're going to bring back Leto? Do you think they're going to try something different? Because they've reset it, haven't they, with Robert Pattinson as Batman?
To be honest with you, I haven't watched most of the recent DCEU films. I watched Batman v Superman, and then I didn't watch Wonder Woman. I didn't watch Justice League. I have not been excited about a DC film in ages, and this is only peripherally a DC film.
I watched Wonder Woman, and that, without a doubt, is the best film in the DCEU so far. And everyone was like, "Oh, it's so amazing," and it's like, well, no, it's the exact same plot as Captain America: The First Avenger. Like, the exact same. So
does Gal Gadot go in a big steel container, which gives her big muscles, and then they give her a shield?
Well, no. I mean structurally, it's it's set during a war. There's a love interest. I can't explain it very well.
No, I understand what you're saying, though. I've heard similar complaints about the film.
Yes, and people are saying, well, it was better than, Batman and Superman, but that's not good enough.
No, it's like if somebody cooks you a meal and you say, well, it's better than eating a plate of human feces. Yes,
it's better than the dog shit I gave you last night. I was like, well, yes, but it's a pig's bottom. I think DC need to continue this sort of standalone character study type films.
Yes, I agree. I think that as much as Man of Steel tried to be a standalone type film, it wasn't very good.
No, it was shite.
I think that I don't know where the fault lay with that, because
Superman killed General Zod,
which isn't very Superman, really.
No, and there was a big death ray, and it was a great point that's been made with when it comes to the Dark Knight versus the modern superhero films. It's like there's always a sort of world-ending destruction device, and it's threatening to destroy the globe. And as human beings, we're like, well, on a meta level, that can't really happen.
Yeah.
Because there's going to be a sequel, but in the Dark Knight, when it comes down to it, the Joker has 2 boats full of people, and says, destroy the other boat or you're both gonna die. That could have happened.
Yeah.
And it ups the stakes, because it could have happened and it would have been a powerful setup for the Dark Knight Rises. And it's just, it's the world ending and 2 boats blowing up. It's like, well, the 2 boats blowing up could definitely have happened, and it would still have been a crushing defeat for Batman, without, a big, massive laser destroying the Earth.
Yeah, I understand that completely. I think that the difference between, say, the Dark Knight movies and the modern superhero films is that, the Dark Knight was a film with superheroes in it.
Yes.
And but say Avengers, that was a superhero film. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And then. I mean, Suicide Squad was something completely different, but do you see what I mean? That's the trap that a lot of modern superhero films come into.
an uppity music video.
That was
a bit too
very
long.
strange. I think I heard somewhere that the editing team on that edited a cut of the film that the director was happy with and they were going to release it, but then the trailer itself got a fantastic reception. That the company that they'd hired said, right, well, here's the film, take whatever music, whatever clips you want, make a trailer, we'll release that. And the trailer got such a good sort of reception online that Warner Bros. Or DC or whoever it was picked up the company that edited the trailer and said, right, well, can you re-edit the entire film, please?
Yeah.
Which is insanity to me. That's... What?
Oh, that's a great joke. I'm sure Arthur would have had a good time laughing about that.
Arthur probably would have had a good time, yeah. It's...
DC just keeps shooting themselves in the foot. Oh, they just... Look, Marvel films, as popular as they are, I don't like Marvel films.
Okay.
Because I liked Ragnarok.
Oh, Ragnarok was amazing. That's probably one of my... I have a hard time picking a favourite Marvel film, but that's up there, yeah.
Yeah, I liked Ragnarok, and I liked Infinity War.
Yeah, I loved Infinity War.
Episodic, false stakes of the films with superheroes like Ant-Man and like Thor and stuff like that. So we know that nothing is going to happen, really. Age of Ultron. You've seen Age of Ultron?
I've seen all of them, yeah.
Yeah, well, when Ultron could have been such a good character.
Yeah, and his performance, was it James Spader, off the top of my head?
Yeah.
His performance was incredible as
was
this
amazing.
Ultron robot. It was incredible, yeah.
Yeah, it could have been such an interesting character, but they just went down the road of, nope, he's villain of the week. And if they stopped aiming for, sort of world-ending scenarios and determined what does the hero care about the most, what's personal to them,
yeah
attack that, make them feel that, and then become better for it and grow and change. Like Civil War, it was about there wasn't in a world-ending scenario, and that's why I think it worked very well.
Yeah, I completely agree.
It was about relationships breaking down, and two sort of sides of how the world should be run were forming, and I think that was a perfect sort of leap to Infinity War. And even with Infinity War, and people are saying, oh my god, wow, oh my god, Thanos killed half of the population on Earth. It's like, well, that's never gonna fucking last. Because by the time you've seen it, there's already a trailer for Spider-Man Far From Home. It's like, alright, okay, so he's alive then. So it's like, well, there's no stakes.
I know
and
what you mean.
Excellent. No one fanboys more than I do when I see everyone in Endgame just sort of appearing from the portals and that massive scene.
Oh, that was amazing. Yeah.
Oh, it was fantastic. Just you can't just. I just love that. I do love that. But from a film point of view, it's like, well, what was the point? Why did you kill them?
I know what you mean.
To just bring everyone back.
I think
the heroes have lost next to nothing.
Yeah, I completely know what you mean. I think the reason that I have such a soft spot for like Avengers and Avengers Infinity War, Endgame, things like that, is because that's what I was reading growing up. I was reading all these comic books, and so to see that thing come to life on the big screen, it's like kind of magical for me in a strange way. Do you know what I mean? But I think I do concede the point that like all the films up to and including the first Avengers film, they were all brilliant in a strange way. Like, Iron Man was amazing, like, kind of groundbreaking in a funny way. Hulk was, Hulk was Hulk, but like, it was still good, and it still worked as a man, sort of in conflict with himself. And Thor was very good, and it worked about, like, a film about self-improvement, and Thor's relationship with his dad and his brother. And then Avengers was the pinnacle of that. And it was fantastic, and that's one of my favourite films of all time. Even though I know it's part of this big Marvel Cinematic Universe machine that will keep churning out films forever.
Yes, exactly. That's my problem with it.
I think that up until Avengers, it maintained this magicalness, and then the next few after Avengers were sort of less good. And then, like you say, Civil War was very, very good, and it was sort of a spy thriller, but like not quite a spy thriller, and it had these superheroes in it. And then I really liked Infinity War, I really liked Endgame. But you can, if you write down the themes for all the Marvel films on a piece of paper, it comes down to what I was saying a little bit ago about, like, the Dark Knight films were films with superheroes in them.
Yes.
But like, say, Batman vs Superman was a superhero film. And that goes for the Marvel films as well. Avengers was about combining all the stories of, like, a man out of time, an assassin that doesn't quite trust herself, this billionaire philanthropist who has trust issues and is reckless, and it's about combining all of those things and making, what do they do in this hypothetical situation? That film was about their motivations, not about, right, let's make a superhero film then. While we're at it, while we're making loads of cash off these, let's make a superhero film.
Exactly. I mean, that's the pinnacle, sort of. That's the linchpin for me when I know that I want to watch a film. It's like, well, are they just doing it for money? Is it just a fill-in until the next big sort of team up, or do they want to say something? Do they want to explore something? Do they want to tell a compelling story? And that's why I was so excited to see this film, Joker, because it's not about money.
Yeah,
you know.
Yeah. This is about Joaquin Phoenix doing this amazing performance, and everybody acting amazingly around him, and Todd Phillips producing this incredible film, and I know what you mean.
It's not about a massive franchise spanning decades starting up. It's exploring societal themes, exploring character, exploring storytelling, and it's just, those are the films that I want to see. I don't want to see big CGI armies smashing into each other and all of them survive for some reason, and there's just a convenient kill switch where you kill this person and then they all die. It's like, well, come on.
Yeah.
But,
Well, I think it's safe to say we could probably talk about this film all night, couldn't we?
We could. I've got a million thoughts going through my rattled little mind.
I know, it's I saw it 2 days ago and I still haven't been able to put together a cognizant thought about it, I don't think.
I think it's in our interest, specifically, that these films like this keep getting made, because we've barely talked any bullshit.
That's very true.
Podcast.
We had a brief bit of stuff at the start, but yeah.
Yeah, but not a lot.
Yeah,
really not a lot. Oh, God. I want to see films like that all the time.
I know what you mean. Yeah.
Films like that. Just it's why is it so hard to just get someone who believes in a story, get them to make it, and then let people see it?
I have no idea.
Is that so hard, people? Fuck's sake.
While we're on the subject of movie franchises and all this sort of stuff, did you see the trailer while you were in the cinema? Because it came on before Joker for me. Did you see the trailer for that new Birds of Prey film?
Yes.
What did you think of that?
I don't know.
Okay.
Because it's the timeline. It's almost like X-Men at this point. It's like, what timeline is fucking which? Is Jared Leto the Joker? Because Harley and the Joker have broke up, and it's like Birds of Prey. No, I think you'll find it's Harley Quinn and some other people. That's what the trailer was. It wasn't exploring these different characters. It was Margot Robbie as Harley Quinn saying some edgy shit and some violence. And but I can't make too many judgments. I haven't seen it.
No, neither have I.
And I'll make a judgment when it comes out. But
I mean, it's safe to say
I'm
that
very skeptical.
It's safe to say that Margot Robbie is like a skilled actor. Like she's won millions of awards. She's very good at what she does.
100%. She's a fantastic actor, and it's not a criticism of her performance. It's a criticism of. I feel as if they're just. Margot Robbie's performance in Suicide Squad was popular, despite the film was shit. So we'll just put Margot Robbie in every scene in the trailer and give very little dialogue to the other people that are in it.
Yeah, I that's the concerning thing is, well, Suicide Squad was terrible, and that's the only other Harley Quinn film, so what if this is terrible? Yeah.
It's, you know, I think what the problem was with Suicide Squad is that they advertised it to be far more about the Joker and Harley Quinn.
Yeah.
And the other people were just there.
Yeah, it's as if the advertising team didn't quite talk to the creative team. Yeah.
Yes, exactly. And then when we watched it, it was the Suicide Squad, but their characters were so underdeveloped. It was like, oh my god, they were just archetypes. And the Joker was in it for about 2 minutes. So you've built him up to be this, oh my god, what's he going to do? Oh, it's amazing. Oh, he's in every trailer. It's like, well, if you're only going to use him for like 3 scenes, you're just getting us to buy a ticket and then showing us zilch. I felt cheated. I felt conned.
I think it was Jack Howard. I think I'm not sure if you're familiar with him. He's a YouTuber. He makes comedy sketches and he talks about films a lot. And he spoke briefly about Suicide Squad when it came out, and he left a review. And I watched it before I went to see the film, and I remember thinking, well, that doesn't make any sense. And then I was disappointed from the film. But he made the point saying, like in the trailers and in the posters as well, the Joker is sort of stood away from the rest of the cast, or he's not in it very much, or he doesn't really have anything to say, or all this sort of stuff. So you went in expecting not very much Joker, and then you watch Suicide Squad, and he was in like 3 scenes, and you think, what?
Yeah.
What? There was no Joker in that film.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Essentially. And I have a funny feeling that Birds of Prey will be the same. Well, maybe not. Probably not the same. It'll be Harley Quinn, and some other people. It should just be called Harley and Friends. That's what it should be called.
Harley and Friends.
Harley and Friends. It's just no. Just make a solo film about Harley Quinn. It'll get you so much more attention, and you have the chance of telling a compelling story.
Plus, we
about
know
a woman who goes mad.
Yeah, and we know that Margot Robbie is a strong enough actor to carry that on her own.
She's more than capable.
Exactly, yeah.
Of doing something like that. It's like, God, you've got such a great actor she's won an Oscar, hasn't she?
I believe so. I'm not entirely sure. I may Google her quickly.
Yeah, I bet she has. But even if she hasn't, she's still fantastic. And it's like, make a really rich character-full story and tell that. Don't put her in a film with a bunch of known entities who are just sort of there, and maybe one of them gets killed and then there'll be a sequel after that. It's like, no, just...
She was nominated for Best Actress. Although she's won and been nominated for so many things at this point that...
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's just so disappointing.
Yeah, I know exactly what you mean.
I think that I don't think Hollywood really... I think a lot of what Hollywood thinks people want, they don't want at all. I think that they have such a cynical view of cinema that they think that we would really want to sit in a cinema for an hour and 45 minutes looking at people that we don't care about and have never met and have no development fight a sort of one-time villain. It's like, no, that's not what we want. We want characters that we can invest in, go through a sort of journey with this person or people.
Sure.
And then leave asking questions and thinking about it. That's what I want to see when I go and see a film.
I know what you mean.
That's just me, listeners. That's just me. I might be wrong. Oh God.
Well, goodness me, for an impromptu surprise podcast, this one has run very long, hasn't it?
It certainly
An
has.
hour and a half. Goodness me.
I know. Two twats on the internet talking about twats on the telly.
I think that's what it says on the Wikipedia page, Danny. Yeah.
Imagine we get a Wikipedia page. Would have made it then, Lewis.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Yep. Shouting into the void. There's a Scottish guy and an English guy, and they just talk shite for an hour, and they're wasting their time. Really, they take an hour out of their day to talk nonsense.
Yeah. Well, speaking of nonsense, where can people find you, Danny?
They can find me on Instagram. I've spelt Ohiram too many times. If you haven't learnt it by now, then I can't help you anymore. So Instagram Ohiram, Twitter Kerso2000, and Facebook page is just Daniel Kerr. Where can people find you, Lewis?
People can find me on Twitter at LewisBrindley4, I think, and on Instagram at Lewis_Brindley. And
hang on, you asked where people could find me, and you weren't prepared for when
I am 99%
when I put it back
sure
to you.
that's
You were like,
right.
I think it's Lewis something.
Right, I'll tell you what then, I'll have a look, and I guarantee you I'll be right. Yeah, at LewisBrindley4, I was completely right.
Oh God, I'm so sorry.
Yeah, and so you should be.
The question is, what's next? What we doing next?
You know, I'm very tempted by saying The Dark Knight.
Oh.
Because it's the other key Joker of all time ever. It's the only sort of true Batman film in a lot of ways.
Yes, I mean it's probably more accurate to the comics than any other film before.
Oh, definitely, yeah.
Ideologically, anyway.
I agree.
So let's do that.
Let's do that then. The Dark Knight will be the next one.
Right. Yeah. Tune in for that, people.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so please leave us a review on iTunes or on Spotify or on Podomatic. Leave us a review wherever you can, however you can.
Yep, even if it's bad, even if you say that we're shite.
I mean, no, don't do that. Leave us a 5-star review.
Do it. Put us in our place.
Yes, that's a great idea. Leave us a terrible review. Tell all your family that you hated this podcast. No, please do share the podcast. Please do leave us a positive review. It really does help a lot. Please do share it.
Definitely.
We hope you enjoyed it, and thank you very much for listening.
Thank you.